Silence, 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 silence. I'm gonna say something, and I want you to notice your gut reaction. Prospect says, yeah, just send me some information and I'll get back to you if I'm interested. What's your first instinct? Do you say, absolutely, I'll get that right over to you? Or, I totally understand, but before I do, can I just ask you, look, if you're doing that, I have really bad news for you. You are not closing that deal ever. This one skill separates the top 1% of closers from everyone else. It isn't just tonality. It isn't just objection, prevention, or handling. It isn't even just the questions you ask. It has everything to do with silence and the looping back around to re-ask a similar question when the prospect doesn't open up. Here are the 4 things you're gonna need to understand about silence so you become the man or woman who gets into the top 1% with what you sell, which I know that's why you're watching me right now. Number 1, so why is silence so unbearable for most people? Because most people think it's actually a discipline problem, but I'm gonna tell you it's not. It's just the brain, the same brain you're using to watch this video right now, is wired to read silence as a what? A threat. Something's wrong, the prospect's upset, the conversation is going the wrong way, and your involuntary response before you even consciously decide to do anything is to fix it right now by talking or asking another question on top of that. The second you feel that silence, you answer the question yourself or you ask another question, you've just told the prospect that you are attached to needing that sale. And the moment they pick up on that, and they will every single time, the entire power dynamic of that conversation flips. They stop telling you what's actually going on and they start taking over the conversation instead, or they give you vague, generalized service level answers. But here's the deal. The rep who can set through maybe 3 or 4 seconds of dead silence that would crack 99% of salespeople out there is communicating something to that prospect that no script in the world can ever do. I want you to write that down. This is a writer-downer. Write down HILA. High intent to help, but low attachment. And that absence of attachment, what does it do? It reads as confidence inside the prospect's mind every single time. They try to convince you, not the other way around. The prospect starts expanding more. You're gonna notice they open up to you emotionally. They reveal even more of what's under the surface. You stop selling to the mask of the prospect and you sell to the real human underneath. Now why? Because the silence creates what's called internal tension inside of them. And why is that a good thing? Because they feel like they have to be the one to resolve it, not you, it's them. It takes them deeper emotionally to really bring out what you asked. And the most influential person, I will tell you this, in any sales conversation is almost always the one that says the least. Write that down. Number 2, what silence actually does to your prospect's brain. Now this is important for you. Let's talk about what's happening inside of them when you hold that silence. When you ask your prospect a real question, now I mean a real NEPQ question, and you ask it at the right time with the right tone, not some surface level discovery question that you got from some sales trainer on a 60-second IG reel. Like, what are some of your challenges or what are some of your problems, which every prospect has heard. Every salesperson asks them the same predictable questions all the time. Here's what happens in the brain. They stop giving you surface level answers. You know, the same ones that you get, like you ask a question like, yeah, we're just looking at a few options, or we don't really have a lot of problems right now. See, that's the autopilot script every prospect has memorized to manage you, the salesperson. You don't want to be managed. You're not the one that has the problem. They are. You're the one that solves that. However, watch what happens when you ask an NEPQ problem awareness question instead, something like this. Let's say you ask a question and the prospect comes back with, well, we don't really have a lot of problems. I'm just gonna loop back around and say, what problems do you have then? Because that's what I heard. I'm listening to what they mean, not just what they say. All right, here's another example. If they say something is not working that well, you're gonna probe off that and ask this. So when you say it's not working, what specifically isn't working well? Notice the tone I use sounds like I'm a bit concerned for you, which builds trust because it shows empathy, that you're concerned for the consequences of what's really going on, which causes them to think deeper and causes them to emotionally start to open up to you. Now that answer is the start of what you need to find out to uncover what the real problems are in that conversation. Let me give you another real example. Let's say if I have a rep on my team, we sell sales training, obviously, 7th level, okay? And they're on with a business owner, like a CEO, standard discovery call. And the rep asks, hey, so when you saw the ad, what was it that Jeremy went over that caused you to feel like, hey, maybe maybe I should look into this a bit further. And the CEO gives you a vague response like, we're just always kind of looking to explore different options. Now, most reps would jump in there and say, great, let me tell you about how we do that, or let me go over the options with you. And then they just go to the next question on the script. The prospect didn't even answer the damn question. They just give you a vague surface level answer. Now, we call that, this is a writer danner, noncommittal languaging. And if you let them get away with noncommittal language throughout the sales conversation, what's the likelihood they're gonna commit at the end? Unfreaking likely. Two ways I can handle that situation. I can be silent when they give me some vague answer for 2 or 3 seconds, depending on the context. And a lot of times the prospect will come back with a deeper reason after I just stay silent for a few seconds. They might come back and say in that scenario with the CEO, well, actually we had a pretty rough quarter and the board's starting to ask questions I don't have great answers to. When you hear that, you would then clarify, well, how do you mean by rough quarter? See, I'm clarified. I'm taking them back into that pain of their past and their current situation. Or I can simply re-loop back around if they don't answer after like 2 or 3 seconds and ask the question in a different way. I could say, oh yeah, besides just looking at different options, what caused you to feel like maybe this Jeremy guy could help you sell more? See, I'm just asking the same question, but in a different way to get them to open up. That's called a loop. You're simply looping back around and re-asking the question in a different way to get the prospect to open up and tell you what's really going on. That's the answer no other rep on that CEO's call list is ever going to get. Because no other rep had the discipline to stay silent for 3 or 4 seconds after they asked the damn question. That silence after the real question, it's not empty space. It's the question doing the work inside the prospect's mind. You don't necessarily need a completely new script. You need to let the question you already asked actually land by simply using the right tone and in certain contexts, using silence as power for you. All right, let's go to number 3. This is an important one. And wait till you hear number 4. It's deadly. The 2 moments where silence decides if you get the deal or not. There are 2 moments on every single sales conversation where silence matters more than every other moment combined. Just 2. We just covered the first one, the silence after you ask a question. The second one is silence after an objection. And this is where I lose 99% of people watching this. So you want to listen and pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. This is important for you. The prospect hits you with an objection like, it's too expensive. What does an average rep do? They defend. They try to prove it logistically or logically. They reach for some type of rehearsed rebuttal. They go right into, I totally understand, or not a problem, or I know how you feel. Others felt the same way. Here's what they found. Don't use that. It does not work well. Every single word of that, every single word is screaming one thing to the prospect, that objection is real. That they should have given you that objection because they see that you're rattled. They can see it in your body language. If you're on the phone, they can hear it in your tonality. That you need this deal more than they need to buy from you. Now, I want you to watch what happens when a rep who's trained in NEPQ lets 2 full seconds pass after that exact same objection. Then in a calm, slightly confused, almost concerned tone, you're gonna pause like this. Is it too expensive compared to you scaling to $8 million a month? Now notice how my tone shifted into that concerned tone. Notice I paused for about 3 seconds. I'm gonna do it again for you. I'm gonna pause. Is it too expensive compared to you scaling to $8 million a month? Now, I'm not just gonna make that number up. I'm just gonna repeat back what they said they wanted to scale to from my discovery part of that conversation. Let's say if I sell life insurance, it's gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna pause for 3 seconds, and then I'm gonna say, is it too expensive compared to Cindy being forced to get a second job when you pass? Now, right when I asked that question, 99% of prospects will be like, yeah, you're right. That doesn't mean they bought into that frame. I then need to use what's called a comparative frame. Let's go back to the business consulting. Because in reality, which is more expensive? I mean, is it more expensive for you to get the funding together? We come in, we build out your operation systems, and you scale to $8 million a month? Or is it more expensive for you to do nothing at all? You're forced to keep working in the business 80 hours a week, and you never scale the company. In reality, which is more expensive? Now notice how my tone shifted down into that concerned tone, a tone that shows empathy. Here's the deal. The pause is not a technique. It's the natural expression of a specific mindset that you have to have. And the mindset is this, write this down. The objection is just the prospect telling you that they have uncertainty right now. It's not a threat to you. Number 4, why this will blow up in your face if you fake it, if you're not authentic. If you've ever been told before to pause more or count to 5 or use the power of silence and you tried it, you probably noticed it didn't land as well as you expected. You might have even felt the prospect get more defensive, not less. Now, why does that happen? Silence only works when it's real and in the right context. That's really important for you. You have to learn how to emotionally understand them, their needs, their desires, their wants, and even their fears, and do that without buying into their story of why they can't get started. The closers who master silence as a weapon care intensely about getting to the truth of what's actually going on in that prospect's mind, what their real issues are. They own the conversation and they're viewed as the trusted authority who can get them what they want, and that's why they sell 5 times higher than the rep who's still pushing and pressuring. That stuff doesn't work anymore. Because have you ever seen a rep on your team who just seems to close at 3 or 4 times the rate of everyone else and you can't figure out why? Go listen to their sales calls if they're recorded. I guarantee you're gonna hear it. They're not talking more. They're talking far less. They're letting the prospect do the work. They're getting the prospect to qualify to them, because who has the problem? The prospect. Who has a solution? You do. So on your very next conversation, one thing, if you're gonna ask one real question, really think it through, something specific to the prospect situation, then be silent. That changes the direction of that call in a way that you could have never predicted. And once you've experienced that, you're never gonna wanna go back to the way you used to sell. It costs you nothing, no script, no new software. The only thing it requires is a willingness to be uncomfortable for a few seconds longer than what feels natural to you now. If you're the type of person who wants to master this, who's committed to mastery, and you want the exact NEPQ framework that combines silence, tonality, and specific questions that gets prospects to sell themselves, link is gonna be in the description. Grab it, use it, and I'll see you in the next video, and hit the subscribe button. Until next time.